GoreCast is brought to you by American Horrors, the greatest uncut horror channel in the world. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all horror. As well as the station of decapitation without your head.
America's longest running horror channel, www.withoutyourhead.com.
The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
What's up, everybody? It's Tuesday, and that means that it's time for Original versus Remake, but with featuring Buzz and Carter. I don't know why I'm doing creepy voice, but that's what I'm doing. It's an acting choice. I went with it.
Sounds freaking cool.
We're back on Tuesday this week. I think we did Wednesday last week because of things. But we're back on our usual Tuesday schedule. We didn't say last week what we were. We are back on full schedule as of now this week. So our schedule that we normally have, that's what it is. Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. So this week, Carter and myself will be looking at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974 versus 2003. Had to make sure we said that because there's 18 million Texas Chainsaw Massacres that you can kind of get mixed up in which one we might be talking about. So,
yep. And you may wind up watching the wrong fucking one.
Carter messaged me earlier today, and he's like, "I fucking was watching the wrong one."
The new ones are so interchangeable; it's not even funny.
And it's because it's the hit, like the names. It's just like Leatherface, or it's just like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then you might miss like the beginning or whatever other name has. You just see Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you're like, "No, that's it. That's got to be the one."
Oh yeah, about halfway through, I'm like, "This man, I just don't remember it going like this. Weird."
Yes, that's everybody's overall thought when they watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise, because they're just like, "Wait, what?"
Oh, man.
One of the most incoherent franchises in movie history, because it almost feels like none of the movies follow each other. It's just like, we need to make a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. What was the last one about? Yeah, like the number 2 is the only one that has somewhat of a coordination. And then like the remake had a prequel, then the remake had a sequel, then had a prequel. It's
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So I found out those last 2, they're actually considered like alternate series.
Yeah. And then like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 was almost like a reimagining. And then you had The Curse of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with guy and girl Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger.
Dude, I think that's
what I said.
That was probably like the worst of them all. Like I could sit through most of them, but as cool as McConaughey is, like that was just too weird of a character even for him.
It's an interesting watch, but it's one where I wouldn't put any, like thought into as to going with the whole franchise. Just watch it, get high, get drunk, watch it, and you'll be good.
I think 3 is where I was just kind of like, okay, all right.
He had a speaking spell, I think, in 3. I think Leatherface did, that he was using to communicate. Or was that a part 2?
No, I think that was a speaking spell.
Yeah.
It's like he kept trying to spell out like food or something.
Yeah, a clown or something. I remember that. I haven't seen the movie in years, but still has a scarring image on my my soul. So, but that's not what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about 1974's Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Tobe Hooper classic, and the 2003 Michael Bay remake. I believe it was Michael Bay. And his fingers into it. I believe it was because that was one of the early remakes before the whole, mid or the early 2000, like remake renaissance that happened. So, but before we get into the remake versus original, we got a couple of bit of news bits for you guys. The first one is The Relic. Teaser trailer just debuted. The film will be coming out July 10th on digital platforming and VOD. I guess this is from what looking into it. I guess this is probably one is said to be one of the most like anticipated movies of the pandemic era, which is weird because I didn't really think there was a lot of movies, or at least in the horror genre. But I guess it's getting a lot of yeah. There's this one's getting a lot of buzz. Not from me, but it's getting a lot of talk. Where it sounded like it's very similar to I think I forgot what two movies they were comparing it to. Babadook and Heredity. They have various similarities to that. I watched the trailer earlier today, and it looked pretty interesting.
See, I haven't seen Hereditary.
Either have I.
But I'm one of the few people, because I know like the masses were just like fucking crazy for that Babadook. I didn't fucking care for it.
Yeah, I didn't see that one either. No, I'm 0 for 2 on this one. So your experience is better than mine on those two movies. I guess this, from what it seems like, this movie is like tackles the themes of dementia and stuff like that from what I was reading into it. So, but I'm going to read you a little bit of the info for the movie here. It says one of the most hyped films of this pandemic-fueled summer is IFC Midnight's dramatic Australian horror Relic, which our very own It says in the film, when Edna, the elderly and widowed matriarch of the family, goes missing, her daughter and granddaughter travel to the remote family home to find her. Soon after her return, they start to discover a sinister presence haunting the house and taking control of Edna.
God, that reminds me of that. What was that? What was it? There was one about an old lady that they were trying to write off to dementia, but it was like the possession of something.
Yeah, I don't
Emily
remember.
Or something.
That's not the other. Yeah, I'm not. I think I might know where you're going on, but I don't remember the name of it though.
But it was kind of like a found footage one where they followed the old lady around and shit.
Yeah, I don't. I know. Is that the Taking of Deborah Logan? Is that the one you're thinking about?
Thank you. Fuck, that's it. Thank you.
Yes. I still haven't seen that either, but it sounded familiar.
Oh, go you for pulling that one out of your ass. All right.
I'm a historian when it comes to titles, but seeing the movies, couldn't tell you. So, but yeah, so that The Relic hits VOD on July 10th. Like I said, I watched the trailer. It looks pretty interesting, but maybe we'll try to get a view of it and see once it comes out, kind of get an idea what it's going to be like. So next up on our news bits, FX is moving forward with American Horror Story spin-off series. Yeah. As you can tell, Carter is very, very excited about this.
No, news. Like I dig American horror. I just always worry about like spin-off shit.
Yeah. It's funny that they're coming out and announcing that they're doing a spin-off series when they can't even film the current episode of the the regular series because that's been pushed back because of everything going on.
Right.
So, like, why are you like worried about doing this when you can't even film your go-to series? But it says after an Instagram tease by American Horror Story creator Ryan Murphy, FX is officially moving forward with American Horror Stories, their spin-off series that will feature 1-hour contained episodes. It says that FX has been given the formal green light to the series that will launch alongside American Horror Story, which has been renewed through season 13. While a standalone series, it wouldn't be surprising to see some overlap between the two, being that American Horror Story has canonized the entire series. For American Horror Story, the site notes that all Hollywood production during the pandemic, filming of the upcoming 10th season is in limbo with no start date yet. I almost said the bad C word.
Now, so they're just saying it's some standalone or it's some spinoff series. They're not really.
Yeah, that's all. Well, it sounds like from reading there that it could American Horror Story. It sounds like it could have some crossover between the original series, but it's going to probably try to lean towards more of its own thing because the American Horror Story, every season's pretty much somewhat of a different story. It's kind of easy to think that their crossover should be inevitable because of how much backlog they have that they can get into. This would be another surprising thing, but I've never watched American Horror Story, so I'm just
man, if you ever get fucking bored, it's worth a fucking go. I can't say that I'm seasoned, but I really dig the fact that it's like every season's different. Every story that they do is different.
Concept, yeah.
There's a few people that I was never really a big fan of, but American Horror Stories really made me kind of like start to like them and shit.
I didn't watch the most recent season. I watched the season before, which I think was Apocalypse. I did not like.
Now that's a hard one to like jump into when you've not been a part of the whole.
First Asylum were good. I really wanted to see Freak Show. I was interested in watching that, but then just never got around to seeing it. That's like the third or fourth season, I think.
Okay. And that's the other downside. It's like trying to remember what order everything went into.
Yeah.
Like Murder House was the very first season, and that I was fucking sold. I dug the shit out of it,
And I know there was Hotel, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, Hotel was another good season. Yeah. And their newest one, I can't remember what, it was kind of a throwback to the old 80s slasher.
I don't remember the name of it, but I know what you're talking about. I heard a lot of positive.
Their last season was dope as shit.
Yeah, I did. I kind of I don't know if I was down from the previous season, but I just kind of didn't bother watching it. But I did hear good things. I do remember the one or two before it where it was like the election one, I think it was.
I didn't really care for that one. And what was that, Freak Show?
Yeah.
I don't think I finished that one.
That one, I think, is one of the more famous ones from what I noticed, because that one has the Twisty the Clown, I think, isn't it? I think that character was pretty popular. But as of right now, there's no release date or anything. But when I was trying to find some news bits, I kind of was like, hey, we kind of mentioned. Oh no, that's for the next story. So I will pause and stop what I was talking about, and I'll say that when I talk about the next story. So moving on to the last story, Nosferatu Season 2 has gotten a release date, and it's going to be in a couple weeks. Where to go? Some of my bitch. June 21st. There we go.
Soon enough. Okay.
Yeah, about 3 weeks away, because we're getting towards the end of May here, so about 3 or 4 weeks away. The reason why I was saying that is because a few weeks ago we did the story. I think we were talking about Creepshow and stuff like that coming to AMC, and then it was pushed back because Nosferatu Season 2 was pushed back. So now we have when Nosferatu is going to come out. So this will be a follow-up to an old previous news story. So it says the second season of Nosferatu. And the funny thing is, I remember when I first talking about it, I'm like, NOS48. I didn't know that's what it was called. And they're like, oh, Nosferatu. I was like, I feel like a dumbass. I looked at it and I'm like, it all comes together now. But it says the second season premiere of Nosferatu was recently pushed back from June 1st to June 21st and a full trailer for the new batch of episodes has been unleashed. So you can check those out. It says the second season picks up 8 years after the events of season 1. Vic McQueen remains more determined than ever to destroy Max. Charlie, having faced his own mortality, emerges desperate for revenge against Vic. This time, he sets high sights on the person who means most Vics. Wow, I am not a good reader right now. Her 8-year-old son, Wayne. The race for Wayne's soul sends Vic and Charlie on a high-speed collision course, forcing both to confront the mistakes of their pasts in order to hold on Wayne's future. There will be 12 total episodes in the new season.
Oh shit! I almost fear when a show like does a fast forward like that, because it can be cool. I've seen some shows pull it off, but then like some, there's just that big gap that they never go back to. If that makes sense.
Well, like it's going to be probably one of those things where, like, season 3 or 4, they're going to be kind of like searching for material and be like, "Well, we're going to figure out something that happened in between that 8-year gap."
Right.
So, most likely, that's going to happen if they, continue to go.
Years, man.
Yeah, so it's a lot of stuff that can happen in 8 years. So, but one of us is excited for the return of Nosferatu because yet again, this is the trend of the news bits. Is I have not seen the first season, so it's weird.
You bring the news, and I tell you, like, dude, you should watch this shit.
That works for me. It's weird that I actually know things because every time we talk about it, it's like, I don't think I've seen that. Nope, didn't see that. Nope, never seen that. Yet I could pull out the name of a movie out of my ass somehow.
Which
well, I had to think about it for a couple minutes. I'm like, it sounds familiar because I remember people talking about the Taking of Deborah Logan, and I'm like, that sounds like what he's talking about. So I'll just throw that name, and then if it works, it works. If not, then we just both continue not knowing what it was called. So,
dude, unfortunately for me, like I can remember like the faces and the actions, but like they all kind of start to blur together.
Yep. So ready to move on to the meat of the episode. No pun intended.
Nice.
Today we are looking at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974 versus 2003. Probably one I would say, maybe one of the top 10 most influential horror movies of all time.
Definitely
original. I mean, in a way, it was kind of, I wouldn't say it was the start of the slasher genre, but it was a very early entry. One that kind of established, the masked killer.
I was gonna say, I think it, like you said, it may not have been like the first one, but it was one of those that left marks for others to follow.
Yeah. Probably I'd say if you're looking into people who might be wanting to get into the horror genre for the first time and ask, hey, what movies, should I watch that describes the genre of horror the best? This is going to be one of my top 5, hands down.
Easily.
Probably one of my top 5 favorite horror movies of all time. So when I was thinking about doing a, remake versus original, I'm like, we're going to have to do Texas Chainsaw Massacre at some point. So I figured.
Well, and like, when you suggested this, dude, I loved the idea because like anybody can jump into horror now and not really appreciate all the hard work that got horror now where it is. Yeah. There's so many films like this and others that built those stepping stones to get the shit we have now.
Yeah. And this one has a very similar vibe to the one that we did last week with Glass House on the Left, where this was almost, if you want to say, almost had the look and feel as almost like it was a documentary. Like it didn't feel like a movie because it almost looked like more realistic than any of other movies that have come out since then. The movie starts off, if obviously if you don't know, we got a group of 5 people. We got Sally, Franklin, Kirk, Jerry, and Pam. They're on their way. At the beginning of the movie, we're hearing radio reports, news reports, and there's a talk of a grave robbing in a local cemetery. It's kind of telling, people that may have relatives buried, kind of head over and see if your family member was one of the ones that were dug up. So we have Sally and the group kind of starts off with them going to the cemetery. Sally goes, it's like my grandpa was buried here. Some random guy it almost seems like they're having a tailgate party.
Okay, so yeah, like that was the weird part, dude. Like everybody's just like, okay, so everybody in the town go to the cemetery. You've got like way too many drunk people. A lot of people's gonna stand around like, so this is what we're gonna do today. Cool. What did you do yesterday? Like everybody was just really relaxed about it.
They had their coolers. They were sitting in the back of their pickup trucks, and I was like, kind of an odd thing to be just tailgating in front of a cemetery,
right? And then like when they pull up, they're like, we're supposed to be checking on our grandpa. Oh, come on in, man.
Yeah,
hang out with it. Like they were just totally fucking cool. And I'm like, just get back in the van. Fuck this.
Yeah, you just see random people just walking around the whole cemetery, just kind of checking on things. So,
and what got me is, like you said, it was that whole grave robbery thing. But like, as the camera pans, it's not robbery. Like somebody's like pulling these people out of the ground. Yeah, some shit was taken, but like we watch where somebody's like kind of been positioned, like they're just sitting there chilling on a fucking gravestone and shit.
Almost like I understand, kind of just chilling.
Right, like I understand not putting that in the news, but like seeing that, and then we cut into the whole everybody just hanging out and bullshit, and I'm like,
things aren't.
I would be a little bit more upset about this whole situation.
Yeah, so Sally just gets like some random guy just like, here, I'll go take it to him. It's like, well, you don't know where he is, but okay. So they go, she checks. From what it sounds like, she ends up going back to the van. From what it sounds like, I think she said that her grandfather's grave didn't look like it was dug up. So they go and they continue on. I don't think at first, unless I just kind of missed it. I don't think that this was their main journey, was just to go to the graveyard, because like it doesn't. They don't really say, unless I missed it. They don't really say, like, after things start going on. They kind of like Franklin's like, oh, our dad owns a house or something down there, and they end up trying to look for that. But that's not originally what it sounds like they were originally planning on doing.
I don't know. It kind of seemed like it was hey, I got to go check on my grandfather's grave. Well, fuck, that would be an awesome road trip. So like everybody just kind of piled in, and then like you said, Franklin, the brother, was down here. We should go check it out.
Yeah, but he doesn't know where.
Why not? Okay. Right. So it seemed like kind of like we got time to do shit, so let's go do shit.
That's what the 70s was just
right.
Real agenda. see where the day takes you.
And look how 70s films turned into slashers because of that shit, right? Let's go do some slasher film.
So after that, they leave the cemetery. Like I said, they're kind of talking about finding the dad's house. They pass by the what did that thing that they pass by? They kill all the animals.
Oh, the slaughterhouse.
Yeah, there you go. Like, I don't know why that word just left my head for a moment. They pass by a slaughterhouse and they smell all the good smells of rotting cows and flesh. And they decide to pick up a hitchhiker, which was not a good idea. We get the hitchhiker, as it's just stated, as his name is the Hitchhiker. Doesn't have a name besides that, from what I see on Wikipedia.
Name is because it's called out later.
Yeah. They pick him up, and he's just kind of like, everybody in the van's just kind of like, probably shouldn't have got this guy. And he's kind of going on and on, working at the slaughterhouse and head cheese and killing all the animals and using all of their parts for different things instead of just the meat for, just for eating.
Okay,
he decides,
like if there's ever a rubbed you the wrong way in 2 seconds, it was that guy.
Oh yeah. Franklin's playing with this knife that he has for some reason. Dude takes the knife out of his hand, proceeds to carve in his own hand, obviously freaking everybody out. He takes a picture of Franklin, and wants. What was it? Something Sawyer? I heard Drayton Sawyer. That is the name of the hitchhiker. Thank you, producer. Because here it just says hitchhiker. So, but Drayton Sawyer takes a picture of Franklin. It's like, oh, it'll be $2, and they're like, we're not paying you. And then he decides to blow it up, and then decides to steal. I think he had like a little switchblade knife.
No, he had a straight razor.
Or straight razor. That's right. Yeah. Takes a straight razor out. Slices Franklin's arm up, and then they all kind of boot him out the car and just trying to drive away. They stop at a gas.
Okay, right there, dude. Like he cut himself before he cut Franklin. The dude sliced open his own hand in front of everybody. Yeah. And I'm thinking, hey, Buzz, slow down and pull over, bro. We gotta boot somebody real quick. I don't want to see what's gonna happen next. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. So finally, they decide to boot him out. They continue to drive a little bit more. They stop at this gas station, which doesn't have gas, I guess. From what? See, I don't not a big fan of Wikipedia right now because they're just giving me random names. The proprietor is what his name on Wikipedia, but I know that's not his name. What's
Drayton.
that? That's the hitchhiker, right?
No, that's the gas station or the one that came out and said we don't have gas.
Okay, so Drayton. Yeah, Wikipedia failed me right now, so I'm not even going to bother with it.
Drayton Sawyer.
Yeah.
Because the whole Sawyer.
And another thing is I didn't realize because I've watched this movie a lot, but I don't know I don't know if I've really took in this whole movie. I forgot about that random guy that was sitting in front of the gas station that came up and started wiping down the van. Hey, you don't see him at all anymore.
Nothing else to do.
It's is he a part of the family or is he just some nubbins? So Drayton is the older guy. Okay. So we had a little bit of a correction. Nubbins Sawyer is the hitchhiker, and Drayton is the older guy who runs the gas station. For all you following along with the name.
Okay, but as we see later on in the film, there's just a lot of kind of I'm not trying to talk bad, but there's quite a few people in the town that just meh, whatever. They just kind of float in their own world. We sit in front of a gas station, and all I do is wipe a windshield. It seems like a very slow, relaxed town.
Yeah. I think there's
banjo kind of.
Okay.
I don't know. Personally, though, when what was the boy's name? Franklin. Dude, as an individual being in a wheelchair, running into other characters in a movie, there's some motherfuckers that are dude, you're just giving us a bad. We should get rid of this motherfucker. Making the rest of us look fucking bad, dude. Oh, you whiny little bitch. And I just start to fucking. I'm how long before this fucker dies? Please make it quick. I know it sounds bad, but.
I remember reading, hearing stuff when it came into the making of the movie that they kept Franklin as well as Leatherface, the actors, away from the rest of the group to Leatherface to get the scary aspect because they don't see him on set because it's easier to be scared of somebody we first see them in costume and everything. But with him, like the director, Toby Hooper, kind of like with Frank, the guy who played Franklin, is like they told him not to stop with the character even when the cameras were on. So when people were pissed off at him, they were pissed off at him. It wasn't acting. They were done with his bullshit. So, which is good. It's good.
Like the best and weird scene was when that truck blew past him when he was out taking a piss. I don't know what hit him or like pushed him down the ravine. I could not stop fucking laughing though.
Yeah. That's like the part, like I was saying, like Toby Hooper, like he didn't allow him to eat with the rest of the cast or anything because they wanted him to like not bond with the rest of the actors. So the character, he's just for the movie, they wanted the genuine reactions when they had the movie.
Dude, like, that was
yeah.
That was brilliant because like I wanted to fucking kill Franklin for so many reasons. Oh my god.
My favorite part with him is so after all this, they finally make it to their dad's house. They're kind of sitting in there. The rest of the group goes upstairs, which obviously Franklin can't do because he's in his wheelchair, so no one's there to help him. And he's just like, "No, come with us, Franklin. It'll be fun." And he's like, and starts like spitting like all over the place, and I'm like he's acting like my 8-year-old child right now.
Thank you.
That's what
Thank you.
Like,
oh my god! I'll give it to the actor. He definitely came up with like how can I be the most annoying motherfucker? Like the dude is good, but yeah, when he's like, oh well, I guess I'll just stay downstairs. Well, no shit, dipshit, you're in a fucking wheelchair.
I've been healed. Maybe we'll see if that happens.
Right. Like, okay, so like you've never been anywhere that there's been fucking stairs. Shut the fuck up, dude.
Oh god.
And like I said, I know wrong mentality, but I was like, I just, you make us look bad. Oh,
Franklin sent people in wheelchairs off by decades.
Okay.
This is why, Franklin was he was a piece of work, and like I said, we were counting down the minutes till he died, which didn't happen too much long.
His own would take him out at one point. I was like, "Fuck it."
Yeah. Jerry and Pam decide that they want to go swimming. They ask Franklin, what's that?
By themselves.
Yeah, they want to go swimming by themselves in a place they don't know where they're at in Texas. And Franklin's like, Franklin kind of gives them a little bit of directions. They head towards there, and then they kind of see a house while they're heading towards where they think the swimming hole's at. And they're like, the guy's like, "Oh, gasoline." I was like, "Wait, what?" I don't couldn't understand where he got gasoline out of what they saw, but he was like, they weren't able to get gas when they stopped there because they didn't have gas at the place.
They heard that engine running, so they thought, well, hey, he's got gas. We can finally get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like everything is going
clean. They find
like everything was going smooth until hey, let's go off by ourselves to the water hole someplace we've never been. Oh.
Yeah. Jesus. So Jerry heads in, goes up to the house, kind of like, hello, anybody there? Nobody answers. He decides to walk in because that's what you do. And he walks into good old Mr. Leatherface, who proceeds to smash him in the head with a sledgehammer, I think, or some kind of meat hammer that he had in his hands.
And for as long as he knocked on that fucking door, it's one of two things. Somebody's not fucking home or they don't want to fuck with you.
Yeah.
Like, it's simple. They kind of got what they were asking for.
Yeah. The other chick ends up going in after him. She ends up falling into a pile of bones in a room. And then Leatherface is like, boom, pops out of the door, and he's like, I found you. Goes to chase her out the door and brings her back into the house, and then proceeds to put her up on a nice little a hook. Like, you stay there for a minute.
I mean, really, dude? Like, you walk in and you realize, like, all the furniture is made out of what is obviously human bone. Do you have your panic attack now or later after you've like 20 fucking minutes?
Yep. So we meet the demise of the first two of the group. The other guy, because I went away from the cast listing of the first groups and I don't remember everybody's name, but the other, Sally's boyfriend, he decides to go try to find him. He walks in, keeps hearing a little bit of a pounding in the fridge, opens up, chick from previous is in there, she pops out, and then Leatherface is like, smashes his head in. I had to give the authentic sounds to it.
Like,
he lets out the highest scream I've ever heard.
Dude, yeah. Like, that was fucking weird. But I will say, like, when this one, like, when the first kill hits, it's just like a run from there. Like, nobody's fucking safe. There's barely any downtime in between kills.
We got Franklin and Sally left. They decided to try to go find them in the dark because that's what you do. Franklin hears something in the woods, and finally Franklin gets fucked up by Leatherface. And the only chainsaw kill in the movie.
Fucking painful.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is only chainsaw kill in the whole movie, because the rest of it's all meat hooks and hammers and shit like that. So Franklin's dead. She's being.
It's not like he didn't try. He just couldn't always catch everybody he was running with the chainsaw.
Yeah. Sally is chased by Leatherface throughout the woods and stuff. She ends up getting back to that gas station. I've already forgot the guy's name. That we already.
Drayton.
Drayton kind of, is like, got to take you back to the house, and kind of beats her with a broom, takes her back to the house.
Right. Okay. He beat her unconscious with a fucking broom handle, dude.
With little love taps too.
Right.
So he takes her back to the house for dinner time. The rest of the family's there. Nubbins brings down Grandpa for dinner, and he proceeds to suck the blood out of Sally's finger, because Leatherface gives a little slit, and then they just literally stick her finger in Grandpa's mouth, and he's kind of like, blood.
I thought that fucking dead.
Yeah, he was moving very little bits. So after a lot of craziness, Sally constantly screaming for like 5-10 minutes straight. They're finally like, let Grandpa get this kill. He's the best killer ever. And he proceeds to try to hit her in the head with the hammer. Can't hold on to it because he's probably like 100 years old. Nubbins tries to help, which he lets go of Sally. She is able to escape out of the house, runs out to the road. Big semi truck comes, runs over Nubbins, kills him. The guy driving the truck hops out, tries to save Sally, throws a sweet wrench at Leatherface, knocking him out, and has him sawing his leg with his own chainsaw on accident. And then Sally escapes via another truck. Like, somebody else drives by, and she's like, oh, screw the guy that just helped me in the semi.
Okay, so it wasn't just me. Like, couldn't give you a shout out like, yo, bro, safety's over here.
Dude just did Usain Bolt did the 100-yard dash. He was gone, which is surprising because he was a bigger fellow like I am. So I don't know how he was able to start running, but he made it, and Sally makes it out. From one of the things I heard is like that laugh at the end when she's in the back of the pickup, of insane laugh that she's giving. I heard that's like a legit laugh because she found out that they were finally done shooting the movie, and like that was, and because the infamous stories of like the shit that the cast gone through to make this movie, like she was like, "Oh my god, it's finally over," and she was just laughing, and I heard that was like legit her laughing like that because she was like, "Finally, we're done." So he broke them bitches.
And
So
ending scene, we get to see Gunnar Hansen give us the famous chainsaw waltz that like
spin in the sunlight.
That is just, kind of pop culture popped up into so many fucking things.
Probably one of the most infamous images in horror history. Him just circles with the chainsaw. So
again, like this film being a part of stuff like that just pops up, and maybe if you've not seen the movie, you still know what oh well, there's that oh yeah, that guy.
Like I said, I absolutely love this movie. Some of this doesn't make sense, but not everything has to make sense.
Nope.
Well, we shall cut to the trailer for the OG Texas Chainsaw, and we'll be back with the 2000.
What happened was true. The most bizarre and brutal series of crimes in America. This is the movie that is just as real, just as close, just as terrifying as being there. Even if one of them survives, what will be left? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. After you stop screaming, you'll start talking about it.
We're back. Woohoo! That was the trailer for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974. The Tobe Hooper classic. Spawned many movies after that. And one of them we're going to talk about right now. 2003, we had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was starring Jessica Biel, and the movie was stolen by R. Lee Ermey because he was absolutely amazing as the sheriff in this movie.
Oh God, yes, dude.
This movie, like the beginning of the movie, I'm not even like
I dig the shit out of anything he's in.
We don't even really have to talk about the beginning of the movie. It's 5 people. They were supposed to go to a Leonard Skinner concert, and then they pick up a hitchhiker. She pulls a gun out of her vagina. Hopefully we can say that. Shoots herself in the head. They go to try to report the suicide. They're told to meet up with the sheriff. The sheriff tells them to go meet them at the old Crawford Mill. So then Aaron and Kemper, they head off there. The rest of the group stays at the van, and that's where our R. Lee Ermey shows up. He's just, what do you guys do? What did you guys do? Dude, this dead body.
I dig the fuck out of him, but this is probably one of my favorite characters of his because it's just so fucking mental, But I do have to say though, this one definitely went darker right off the bat because they whereas the first one was like, hey, so back in, and we kind of got a little bit of backstory. Here they got like that dark voice and like all these images. Like they really tried to kind of lean into the more reality of the quote based on true story kind of thing.
Yeah. He's just like, man, I always love when we come up and pick up these young fillies. I always like to cop a feel. And it's just like, oh my god, this is just. It's like she's wet down there. What do you? She's a bit wet down there. What have you boys been doing to this dead body? You're just like, oh my god, keep.
Oh, I know it, dude. Like, oh.
And then so he finally does the whole thing. He wraps him up, and then he asks the guys to go take the body to go put it in the trunk. And she's like, the girl's like Pepper. She's like, something just feels so wrong. He's like, don't you sass talk me. I have respect for a dead body like anybody else. And the next thing he says, like, don't put that piece of shit in my backseat. Put it in the trunk.
Oh,
like, oh my
dude,
god,
just so.
Larry
Kent was the narrator.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see it now.
I grew up on Night.
Okay. So while they're dealing with the sheriff, Pepper and not Pepper, Aaron and Kemper are heading towards the house they see, which has got the old guy, another guy, a little bit more respectable guy in the wheelchair, Franklin in this movie.
Oh yeah, no, okay, like this one is that like I'm like, okay, so let me get this straight. You're crazy and you can kill people. Oh, dude, roll on.
Yeah,
cool. Icon.
Aaron tries to go in there to use the phone to try to get a hold of the sheriff. While she's in there, the old dude, like I think he fell out of his wheelchair in the bathroom. She's trying to help him up. While she's doing that, Kemper comes in the house. He hears a few things, goes into one of the rooms that was playing like a cartoon, and then like next thing you know, Leatherface is right behind him and hits him right in the head with I believe it was a sledgehammer. Pulls him into rooms.
I don't know if it was a sledgehammer. It was just
some kind of hammer, I thought.
Right.
I don't know. Pulls him into a room, close the door. Aaron's kind of like, where did he go? She leaves. She heads back to the group. She's like, oh, I got a hold of the sheriff. And they're like, oh, the sheriff already came. And they're like, oh, where's Kemper? She's not with you guys? And they're like, no, I thought it was with you. So Aaron and Andy end up heading back to the house. They're both in the house. The old guy's kind of like, what are you guys doing in my house? He starts pounding the ground, opening the door. Leatherface is behind him, chases him down, proceeds to cut Andy's one, and Aaron makes a run for it. Andy ends up getting put on the hook in the basement, and once Aaron gets back to the group, the sheriff returns and pretty much trying to put saying that they murdered the girl and not her killing herself, which obviously we know, because the weird thing is like he takes the gun that they said she shot her with and he like puts it in his little holster in his legs. She's like, she must have got the gun from. So this kind of like seems like it might be kind of connecting with them when they see him put the gun in his little leg holster.
Okay. Like there were so many warning signs though. Like the whole them looking for their friend, and in this old ass house, there's like this big metal door.
Yeah. With
like a fucking peephole.
Yeah.
This is the go to the next town and get help kind of shit, dude.
The sheriff ends up putting Morgan into the van, pretty much where the girl was sitting, that shot herself. He's like, show me. Like, I want to see what happened. When you're like, you're not in the center, and like, he gives him the gun. He's like, put the gun in your mouth. Show me how it was done. Like how she did it and everything. And then like he kind of, one of the girls outside distracts the sheriff, and then Morgan puts the gun on him, and he just pretty much antagonizes him. Goes, shoot me. Clicks it. There's no bullets. And he's like, you just killed the sheriff. And then he like pulls Morgan out, takes him to the car.
So
back to the police car, and then he ends up taking him back to the house. He ends up popping in Morgan in the face with the beer bottle he was drinking, and like he spits out a couple of teeth. He's like, "Oh, now we have something in common." And he pulls out his little dentures that reveal that he has like 2 or 3 of his front teeth missing.
Dude, I did feel bad because that motherfucker looked like, not only is he like shitting himself in the back of that van, now he's just getting brutalized every time he turns around.
Yeah. The sheriff ends up calling and telling somebody, we don't see who, that 2 girls are still back at the van. So Leatherface ends up making his way out to the van, going after the girls. He ends up killing Pepper, and he's wearing a new mask with the face of Kemper on it. He's so freshly just made. So starts chasing Erin throughout the woods. Erin makes her way into a camper where there's a couple of ladies. I don't know their names.
T-Lady and
Henrietta. Henrietta, there we go. Henrietta's got a baby in her hands. And Aaron's, I think they saw some pictures when they saw like all those abandoned cars, and they saw some of the pictures. One of them was that hitchhiker that they picked up in the beginning. And then she sees some of the pictures up on the wall in the trailer with that hitchhiker holding that baby, to kind of indicate that
it was a family picture.
Yeah.
And I will say that definitely kind of made this one a little bit of its own. Like they went in a bit of a different direction with it, which was kind of cool to see that it wasn't going to be a scene for scene cut. They tried to get a little bit darker and deeper into the family and into the surrounding area.
Yeah, they expanded the family. They added, a few more, because it's kind of like how
I don't even know if they were family or if they just happened to have neighbors that were just as crazy as they were. Because you think about it, like the whole thing was the meat packing plant closed down. So these were like the last under 10 people that stayed in that town.
Yeah.
And here's the crazy cannibal family. It's like, oh, you're hungry? Here's some food. Here you go. Like they just kind of spread their crazy to a few others around them.
Yeah. They end up giving Erin some tea because obviously there's the tea lady, so that would make sense. Which obviously must have had something in there because Erin started, kind of feeling woozy and passed out. She wakes up to the sight of the sheriff just pouring beer on her face. All
waking up, that was fucking weird.
Yeah. We have the mother, which is Luda, I think. Luda Mae Hewitt. She was the one that was in the convenience store kind of towards the beginning when they went to go report the girl with the suicide. She's talking about Leatherface, how everybody she knows the Aaron's kind, always making fun of her boy and blah 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 blah. Tells Leatherface to get rid of her. He tosses her down to the basement. While she's down in the basement, she finds Andy hanging. She tries to get him off the hook. She can't. He tells her just end it, and she ends up stabbing him in the stomach, killing him.
That's shit to put on somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny how the process of dying in a movie so fast when it really isn't. She's just kind of boom, you should be dead immediately now, and it's like, no, you shouldn't have died that quick. I don't know if maybe it was a accumulation of injuries maybe took him out because he was had his leg cut off, he was hanging with the hook in his back, maybe just that was the last straw, but shouldn't have died that quick.
I just kind of feel like you're a dick. Like obviously if we're face to face, you've now kind of gone through the same kind of nightmare that I have. But hey, one more thing. Go ahead and kill me so I don't suffer anymore. Good luck with your shit, though. Like, that was just kind of fucked up.
So after she kills off Andy, she finds Morgan in a tub. He's still alive. Jedediah, the little boy that we didn't mention yet, but there was a little boy kind of running into things off and on throughout the movie. He kind of, tells them that there's a way for them to escape. They end up escaping with Leatherface chasing them from behind. They end up getting to the slaughterhouse, where Morgan ends up getting killed because he had the handcuffs on. Leatherface hung him from like a light fixture and proceeded to take a chainsaw up the crotchal region, I believe.
Dude, that was brutal. Like, I hadn't seen that shit since, what was that, Terrifier?
You don't see anything happening, but it's left to the imagination. You just see the touch, and then you just like, oh, I'm dead. Because people just die instantly. Erin starts running away. Leatherface is chasing her and into the slaughterhouse. For some reason, he turns on like all the sprinklers because we have to get Jessica Biel wet in this movie because she's very wet towards the end of the whole movie. Because even when they turn off the sprinklers, she heads outside and it's just downpouring rain, and she's like, "Oh, well, guess I'm back in the rain again."
I didn't realize towards the end of the film that we're probably going to start losing audience members. Water, that'll feel good.
Let's get Jessica Biel wet. She ends up hiding in a locker. Leatherface is kind of going, okay, well, I'm trying to. Leatherface is kind of going locker, trying to find her. She's trying to like distract him. He opens the locker. There's a pig there. She opens the locker right behind him. Proceeds to chop his arm off, and then she makes it out. A truck driver picks her up, starts heading towards, and then she kind of flips out. She's like, "No, don't go that way. We can't go back." And then she's trying to grab the wheel. He stops. He's like, I can't handle you." He jumps out, goes to the. There's a store that has Sheriff Luda and Henrietta are all in the store. They all
came near the whole crew.
Yeah, the remaining people. Erin ends up jumping out of the truck, running around to the back. She grabs the baby. We see her trying to hotwire a car. Ends up being the sheriff's car. He's like standing in the truck trying to look in there, trying to see who's in there. Finds out there's nobody in there. He jumps down. Erin had got the car started. She finally drives it, runs him down, backs up over, kills him. She's on her way, making it out. She took the baby back, so her and her baby in the car. Out of nowhere, Leatherface kind of like swings the chainsaw, hitting the car, and then she just kind of makes it to survive, surprisingly.
I will say, like, I think we talked about this one in the not the Fog. Last House on the Left, where the female was a little bit more the fighter than they were in the original. Because in the original, the chick just like, she's running for her life. She can't really fight it off. She happens to jump into the back of the truck for salvation. Whereas the remake, Jessica Biel was more of the...
She was the
not necessarily the aggressor. Right. Like, she's running for her life like everybody else, but then she, at the end of it, she's the salvation. She saves the baby's life. She makes retribution with the sheriff. Hardcore. Like, they definitely kind of amped up the main character's stat points, I guess. Survivability.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and cut to the trailer, and then we'll come back and kind of wrap things up and kind of go over our... but you stopped me. We're going to come back after the trailer and kind of give our final thoughts before we finish up tonight. And are we ready? Okay. So now the trailer for Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Tell me how much you love me.
How much?
That much.
That much?
This much.
That much.
Hey, are you okay?
They're all dead. Bad man.
I'm gonna have to call the cops, I guess.
Excuse me.
What the hell was that?
What?
I just saw something.
All right, that's it. If somebody's out there, just come on out!
What is that? The hitchhiker. What were they all doing here?
What the hell are you doing in my house?
You're all gonna die.
He's killing him!
Who's killing who?
What's wrong with you people?
Oh, my.
Back. Ugh, I held that in. We're back. The dinosaur story. That was the trailer for the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think overall, I kind of said this to the guys before we started. I think when it comes to this first time, like this is the first time I liked both movies. I like the original. I love the original. I liked the remake for what it was.
Yeah, okay, it's true. Like both had really good aspects. I liked the original because it built up a little bit more of fear factor. The remake was definitely more of a kind of darker, maybe a little bit more realistic, I guess. Like it it definitely kind of made the fear a little bit more real than the original did in a weird way.
Yeah,
but in that same sense, though, I kind of felt like everything that it was lacking, they tried to make up with just more gore.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I just felt like it did what I think good remakes should do: is just take your regular story and just kind of add to it and give its own universe. Which spawned what? A sequel and two sequels from it.
One prequel and the other two are kind of like not standalones, but not really a part of.
You had Texas 3D, which was like a sequel, and then you had the beginning, which was a prequel, and then you had Leatherface, which was even more prequel because he was like a kid or something. I don't know, but whatever.
They kind of have them like they kind of have the last two in their own little category. So you've got the original and the remake, and then Leatherface and the Chainsaw 3D are kind of on their own, off to the side.
Yeah,
but still somehow a part of the franchise.
This is one of the most difficult horror trees to follow. A lot of branches, but that's another topic in the future. So, but that probably should do it.
I will say though, like it surprised me to see Jessica Biel in the horror. I thought she did really good. So I think aside from Franklin and the original, I dug the cast on both.
R. Lee Ermey. You have R. Lee Ermey and the way he portrayed the sheriff. That's all you need. The rest of the movie. Oh my god,
yeah. And the boy that stepped into the Leatherface role in the remake was good.
Yeah. I was gonna look it up, but
it's Andrew, but I cannot begin to pronounce his last name.
Okay.
He's done like a program, and he did a couple of episodes of Firefly. He's cool. He went into horror a lot, but I'm just gonna fuck it up if I pronounce that last name. So really cool guy that played Leatherface.
Yeah, in 2003. But that will be that'll wrap it up for us this evening. We don't have a trailer for you guys for this Sunday's American Horrors, but maybe check our social medias in the next couple of days. We might have something there for you guys to take a look at for that. But this Thursday, we're going to the Wild Wild West. We're going to be doing some. I'm going to be wearing my spurs and my other things that you wear in the Wild Wild West, because we're doing Western themes, chaps. That's what I was thinking about. But
I was kind of wondering, like 6-shooter, cowboy hat. Like, where are we going with that?
Scary in my head sometimes. I don't even like being there.
Food
we're going to be doing some Wild Wild West, some Western theme horror shenanigans this Thursday, featuring the Giz, the Deadly One, the Me, and the Carter. We'll be talking about some. Yes, that would be you. We'll be talking about some nonsense. So, you know how we're gonna have to close this episode off. You and me are gonna have to give a big yeehaw, because that's just how you close an episode that you're trying to get people to watch.
Okay.
So we'll do it on 3.
3.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah! See